Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. This is week 8, and I'm going to go through every single matchup. I'm also going to go through these in the short form like I've done before, so it'll be up to you to pause and look at any relevant information that's important to you. I will try to highlight a few pieces, but I'm just going to run through them pretty quickly. For the last 1 o'clock matchup, you have a division rival with the Giants going to Philly, where Philly's favored on the money line with a spread of 7.5 and a total line of 43.5. Notably, the Giants are below average in their scoring and stopping their opponents from scoring. They are a little above average in their rushing, but they are not able to stop much defensively and have a middle of the road passing rank. Philadelphia has a decent scoring rank, but it allows quite a bit of points. They have one of the worst rushing ranks in the game right now, and they're about average about stopping passing and rushing. They are quite exceptional at stopping any tight ends they faced, but they don't utilize their tight ends too much. And just flipping over the averages if you need them for a minute. Your quarterbacks in this game are Jackson Dart and Jalen Hurts. Jackson Dart having 87.4 total fantasy points this season, averaging 14.5 per game. Jalen Hurts has 148.4 total fantasy points this season, averaging 21.2 fantasy points per game. Jackson Dart has 3 interceptions and 1 fumble lost to a sack. Jalen Hurts has 1 interception and 1 fumble lost to a sack. Here's your individual averages if you need them, as well as your individual breakdowns. If we look at how much these quarterbacks impact the rushing game, you have Jackson Dart with 17.4% of the total carries, and with Jalen Hurts, you have 28.5% of the team's total carries. The running backs are Cam Skattebo and Saquon Barkley, with Cam having 117.7 total fantasy points this season, averaging 16.8 per game. Saquon having 94.4 total fantasy points this season, averaging 13.5 per game. Only notable turnover comes from Cam on a rushing fumble. Flipping over to your averages if you need them, and the week-by-week breakdowns. And just looking at their carry share, of course Cam gets the largest share with 46.23% of the total carries. There is a little bit left over from Russell Wilson here, and Singletary, and then even Tracy. But now that Cam's secured that starting spot, he's starting to take over the carry share. Over here you have Barkley easy winning that spot with almost 60% of the carries of the team. And with almost 30% from Hurts, they get about 90% total between everybody else. Our receivers in this game, the number 1 receivers here are Wan'Dale Robinson and Devontae Smith because A.J. Brown is listed as out. Robinson has 91.8 total fantasy points this season, averaging 13.1 per game. Devontae Smith has 100 fantasy points this season, averaging 14.3 per game. With no other turnovers, we'll switch over to our averages and look at the breakdowns. For their receiving share for their teams, you have Wan'Dale getting 28.3% of the team's total receiving yards. And over here with Devontae, you get 13.6% of the team's total receiving yards. Just a note that you have Barkley here with 9%, and you have A.J. Brown with 26%. The number 2 wide receivers are Darius Slayton and Jahan Dotson. Dotson doesn't have too much this season, with only 18.1 total fantasy points. So I'll just let him if there's any information here that people are interested, I'll let them go through that. And there's his averages. With Slayton, he has 26.6 total fantasy points, 5.3 total average per game, and 1 fumble loss this season. And there's his averages. Slayton does get about 10.9% of his team's total receiving yards, while Dotson over here gets maybe 7.5%. He's this white one right there. Ending up with our tight ends, you have Theo Johnson and Dallas Goedert, where Theo Johnson has 63.2 total fantasy points this season, averaging 9 per game. Dallas Goedert has 83.1 total fantasy points this season, averaging 13.8 per game. With no other turnovers, we'll look at their averages and their week-by-week breakdown. In terms of how much yardage they share with their teammates, Theo Johnson gets only about 3.5% of his team's total receiving yards, where Goddard gets a significantly larger portion of 17.5% of his team's receiving yards. So this could be an interesting game with Jackson Dart coming off a loss where he does look pretty good, filling in as the quarterback. Depends on how they handle that loss going into a tough Philly game. Mostly if they can come over this kind of defense, and if they can put a stop to anything that Philly does. I mean, they don't have great rushing numbers, they don't have great passing numbers, but the New York defense looks pretty terrible, so it could end up being a shootout of a game. I guess we'll end up seeing, but that's kind of what the numbers would suggest. So there you have the details for this matchup. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did and you got something out of it, leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what else you might want to see in the future. Other than that, thank you so much for watching.